I'm ready to kick my younger sibling out. I'm 36 female, and due to family situations, I live with my younger sibling 14 NB, female to non-binary. It's relevant. I like to think that I'm an accepting person who has tried super hard to accept my sibling moving to they them pronouns. I even contacted their school to change their name and their pronouns and insisted on my family doing the same. But lately, everything is an issue because of this. It's been 8 months of absolute hell. They still have their longer hair and for the most part are female presenting. They wear crop tops and short skirts. Recent outfit they wore shorts with knee-high socks and boots with nice pink shirt, hair and pigtails. A woman passing us said to her kid, "Move over and let the girls pass you," and my sibling flipped out, screaming about being misgendered and how annoying it was even though this woman wasn't being rude on purpose. It's constant little snide remarks about me being a boomer and being homophobic. You wouldn't get it. It's a Gen Z thing and we're more accepting than your generation. Of course you would say something like that. You can't just assume someone's pronouns. You have to use they them until they correct you. We can't watch Friends or How I Met Your Mother without them talking the whole way through about how this kind of behavior wouldn't be tolerated now. We can't read certain books, newspapers, use certain websites. It's annoying as fuck and I'm sick of it. I can't watch a film without a comment about, where's the representation for NB people? Any romantic films or TV shows gets a, oh look, another hetero couple because we don't see that enough. I can't recommend anything anymore. What about this dress for that event we have coming up? Absolutely not. Why would you recommend that? Because everyone will assume that I'm a girl and I'm not. So then why do you wear skirts? It's not up to you to dictate what I wear, and you're being transphobic to me. I can't open my mouth without a correction or, actually, we don't say that anymore. So I'm done. Done with the eye rolls, done with their friends saying, oh, that's so sad that she doesn't support you. Done with trying my best. I spoke to our aunt a few days ago and she said that they can move in with her, so I'm going to speak to them tonight. Things have to change pretty soon or they have to leave because I can't deal with it anymore. Am I wrong for wanting to kick them out? I'm 38 female. I'm in a weird situation with my boyfriend 40 male and his friend 40 female. My boyfriend has had a very, very hard year. A few months ago, his mom got very sick. One night after work, he went out drinking with a couple of guys from work. We live together and we're in the process of packing up. Well, I was, because we were moving to a new place the following week. I was packing until close to midnight when he texted me. He said he had drank too much and just couldn't deal with getting an Uber and asked if I would pick him up 45 minutes away. Of course, I said yes. When I got to the bar, I texted him and he said he'd be out in a minute. Some girl came out and came over to the car and introduced herself to me. She said she was his very good friend. I knew her name because she'd gone to high school with him years ago, but I didn't even know that they were still in contact. And thanked me profusely for coming to pick him up because he wasn't in any shape to take an Uber. That seemed a bit odd to me because of course I'd pick him up, he's my partner. Anyway, we chatted for a minute and I apologized for my appearance, basically sweaty from packing all evening. I told her that I'd been packing for hours. She asked me if I was moving and I told her yes, we were moving to a new place next week. She seemed slightly confused, but she'd also been drinking, so I ignored that. It almost felt like she thought I was just his buddy that was kind enough to come pick him up. Meanwhile, I'm his partner. Fast forward to his mom's funeral a few weeks later. She was there and she came up to me and apologized for not being available to help him more to plan the funeral and to be his support. I told her that it was okay, no problem, but I was also thinking, huh? We didn't really need any help or support, but whatever. I thought she was just trying to be nice. A few weeks later, I noticed on Facebook that I could see him responding to someone in a thread, but I couldn't see who he was talking to. I asked him and he said that he was talking to her. I couldn't see her replies because she had blocked me. I use social media extensively for work and I know how it works, obviously. I told him that she'd blocked me. He texted her and asked her if she had, and she lied. As soon as he asked her, she unblocked me. I told him that it was very strange and he said, nah, it's obviously some glitch. Okay, whatever. Then a week later, I noticed the same thing and realized that she blocked me again. I honestly have no clue what to think about all this. It all seems very, very odd. She also mailed him a copy of an old high school yearbook. I asked him why and he said he wasn't sure, but I do realize he had to have given her his address. But also, he never even mentioned her to me previously, but meanwhile, he'd been out drinking with her. And there were guys from work there as well. Does this seem strange to anyone else? I don't want to create a thing out of nothing, especially when he's been dealing with so many issues, but I'll have to admit that it all leaves me feeling strange. Storytime about when I lost my virginity to a water slide. So, do you guys know those water slides that you stand in and then they suddenly drop you straight down onto the water slide? If not, look them up on YouTube. There's nothing like them. Ah, yes, the sweet memories of my first time on one of these. I feel that my mental and emotional scars have healed enough to tell this gem. At the time, my girlfriend, now fiance, worked as a photographer for one of those resorts with the indoor and outdoor water parks. One of her perks was that her and a family member or friend could get into the water park for free. So one hot summer day she had off, we both decided it'd be fun to go there and cool down for the day. While we were there, I discovered one of their most thrilling looking water slides. Basically, you stand in this tube and then the slide operator presses a button and the slide drops you straight down like 90 feet before you actually start going down the water slide. Me, being a thrill seeker, of course, had to try it. So I made a great climb up to the top of the slide, stood in line, and finally it was my turn. Once I got in the tube, the operator told me to keep my legs crossed. Now I'm a pretty big, heavy guy, so I was like, that's uncomfortable as fuck, I'm not doing that. So there I was, standing in the tube, having a panic attack from anticipation, with my legs not crossed. The operator finally presses the button and the bottom opens and I fall straight down the water slide. Very quickly I realized why they have you cross your legs. Water shot so far up my ass, so fast, I swear I tasted it in my mouth. My body raced down that slide as I questioned every life choice I had ever made. Once I made it down to the bottom, I sat there for a moment, absolutely violated. I felt like someone in an old episode of Law & Order, Special Victims Unit. I built up the courage to finally stand up, and all I could feel was a nice warm stream of water mixed with shit and maybe a little bit of blood shoot out of my ass faster than a steamboat geyser at Yellowstone National Park. I quickly got off the slide and ran to the bathroom with a trail of shitty water tailing me as the slide operator stared in awe. They had to shut down the slide for the rest of the day, but man was my asshole clean after that. Time about when I stuffed my face with edibles before dinner with my wife's parents. Recently, I traveled to Denver, Colorado with my wife and her parents. As a resident of a non-legalized state and as someone who is too much of a pussy to regularly buy illegal drugs, the thing I was looking forward to most was the chance to buy fancy legal tree. What could possibly go wrong? So the first thing I do upon arriving, after successfully ditching the in-laws, is drag my wife to a nearby dispensary for a shopping spree. And oh my god, it was just like in my dreams. Tons of different options in neat little sample jars and a team of helpful stoners walking me through the various strains. Are you looking for a mellow body high? Or do you want something that gives you a bit more pep and energy? Or are you just hoping for something light to take the stress off? Yes, yes, and yes, I replied eagerly, like a fat kid in a candy store, and request an 1/8 ounce of about 7 different options. In hindsight, if I learned anything from this experience, it is that my math and science teachers never taught me basic information, like what's an ounce, or how much tree can a person consume in a single weekend. Sure, I can tell you when 2 speeding trains leaving separate stations will collide or recite Avogadro's number, but it turns out that none of that information is particularly relevant in getting high in a responsible and efficient manner. At this dispensary, I also learned that you can't actually smoke in public places, including the hotel that my wife and I were staying at. As a result, before leaving, I begged my wife to buy some edibles that I could munch on until we found a place to properly get lit. After expressing shock as to the absurd volume of drugs that we were buying, unlike me, she is the product of private school and understands the imperial measurement system. She relents, and we walk out of the store with what felt like a dump truck of weed, plus a small package of seemingly innocuous ginger snap cookies. When we finally get back to the hotel room, I tear those bad boys open, only to find about a dozen tiny cookies roughly the size of a quarter. What the F, Denver? Seeing the skepticism and hunger in my eyes, my wife warns me that I should go easy and look at the back of the package first before trying one. Dose size, 1/2 of a cookie. I read silently as I start taking microbites from the edges like a giant chinchilla gnawing on a sunflower seed. But what kind of a savage only eats half of a cookie? So a second later, I covertly pop the remainder into my mouth. And then I quickly stuff another 2 cookies in my mouth for good measure the minute my wife turns her back. We may not have legal tree back home, but I routinely devour an entire package of Milanos in one sitting without breaking a sweat. Your move, tiny ginger snaps. About 30 minutes later, we're in the backseat of a parent's rental car on the way to dinner. And that's when things start to go tits up. My stomach growls, loudly and angrily. My wife looks at me with inquisitive eyes that seem to say, diarrhea, but I merely clutch my tummy and mumble something about altitude sickness. You didn't eat the whole cookie, did you? She asks, 10% in genuine concern and 90% seething in irritation. Of course not, I respond, avoiding eye contact for the remainder of the car ride. A few minutes later, we're climbing out of her parents' rental car and heading into some trendy farm-to-table restaurant. I don't remember how I made it to my seat, and I don't remember even looking at the menu, but I do remember the concerned look on the waiter's face as he asked me if I was doing all right. Keep it together, man, I say to myself. My wife's sudden groan suggests that I may have also said that to the waiter. Things are going downhill fast. The waiter nods sympathetically, takes our orders, and then heads to the next table. The moment he walks away, my wife is staring daggers at me. I start to worry that the jig is up. You are sweating from your entire face, she says, both with pity and disgust. Not quite knowing what to do, I reach for my napkin and proceed to blot my cheeks, nose, neck, chin, and forehead. Things only go downhill from here when my wife's mom looks at me with concern and asks if I'm alright. My daughter Alyssa is 5. Every night, my wife and I go through the same routine of reminding her to pick up her toys and tidy up her room before dinner. I came home late, just right before dinner, and my wife is smiling and whispers, Alyssa has something to show you. My daughter grabs my hand and pulls me to her room and said, look. I said, what am I looking at? She said, my room. I cleaned it all by myself and mommy didn't even have to tell me to. I said, that's it? I thought you were going to show me something important. Sweetie, cleaning your room is what you're supposed to do. Nobody has to tell you to do that. You just do it. And make sure to do this every night. I'm going to take a shower. While I'm in the shower, my wife comes in and says, hey, what happened? I said, what are you talking about? She said, Alyssa is crying and she won't talk to me. Did she show you her room? I said, yeah. She said, and what? That's what she's supposed to do. Then my wife got all dramatic and said, oh my god, please don't tell me you said that to her. Then we got into a huge argument while I'm in the shower, mind you. All I wanted to do was come home, take a shower, eat dinner, and go to bed. Not deal with all this crap. My wife wanted me to apologize, but I told her I don't see what I have to apologize for. I came out to eat and talk to Alyssa, but my wife, still in her bad mood, said that Alyssa had lost her appetite and cried herself to sleep. Either my wife is over-exaggerating, which she tends to do when she's in a bad mood and wants to make me feel bad, or Alyssa inherited her mother's dramaticness. Then she wouldn't talk to me for the rest of the night or even come to bed. I don't feel bad because I know that I'm right in this case. When did we start congratulating people on doing what they're supposed to do? Am I the asshole for not congratulating my daughter on cleaning her room?